So what are you dreaming of for Christmas? What are you expecting for this holiday season? Nothing. Nothing. Oh, great segue for my talk today. I remember growing up as a kid on Christmas Eve. I was so excited going to bed and just being so excited and hard to sleep and listening for Santa on the roof and the reindeer and peeking out the window to see if I could see anything, see him flying across the moon or something. And then finally falling off to sleep, waking up early the next morning, running down the hallway to see what Santa's left under the tree. Expectation, right? This is a season that's filled with expectations. Whether we're expecting to travel, maybe we're expecting presents or Santa Claus himself, but maybe we're expecting stress and overspending and overscheduling and those uncomfortable family dinners. We've all had those. What are you expecting? What are you expecting this holiday season? What have you been expecting all year? What do you expect on a daily basis? That's my talk today, is hopeful expectation, as we are continuing our series this month, which is the heart of Christmas. The heart of Christmas. And it was our founder, Ernest Holmes, who reminds us that whatever revelation, manifestation, or experience, whatever revelation is made to us is at the level of our expectation. We can't receive more than we expect to receive, can we? If we go to the well, so to speak, with a teacup, we're only expecting a teacup full of water. If we go with a bucket, we're expecting more water. Would you agree? Yeah. So the same is true in this creative process, that we set the level of the experience or the manifestation, or in Holmes' words, the revelation that we're to receive by our expectation. What are you expecting? Have you ever noticed the "I told you so" part of your brain? We all have it. It's part of the frontal cortex, technically speaking. But I've noticed for myself that if I have an expectation of someone to make a mistake, mess up, not do it right, the first sign of any annoyance to me that they're not doing it right, i.e. my way, I told you so. I've proved my belief. I've proved my belief, because that's what we do. We want to prove our beliefs are correct, don't we? We're looking for evidence that proves we're correct, we're right, because we all want to be right. Our ego demands it. Some of us have that thing of, I might as well do it myself if I want it done right. And then we do it ourselves. Then we get stressed out. Then we get frustrated. Then nobody cares and nobody wants to help me because we can't receive that help. Am I the only one? Okay, good. So, expectation. What are we expecting? I've found that successfully navigating a happy life is simply to expect it. Simply to expect it. Now, we're not expecting someone else to give it to us. Because when we start projecting our expectations on someone outside of ourselves to bring it to us, that's when the disappointment happens, right? Because we're expecting them to do it. And we all know they're not going to do it right. So the expectation is within. It is within, and it is within ourselves, and it is that connection with the divine and expecting the goodness that God is and this grace that we live in always to be revealed through us. We expect the revelation or the manifestation of the prayer. We expect that good. Every Sunday we talk about our Money Finders program. And the principle that proves is what we focus on expands in our life. So if we're focusing on expecting the good to manifest, because I've spoken my word into prayer, and that's the way I'm taught, is that it's going to manifest. And I then expect it because I've been grateful for that speaking of my word. I trust that it's going to happen. And then I release it because I know I expect it to be delivered, right? So that's the expectation that we're talking about today. We're expecting the good. And sometimes it requires a shift in our beliefs because, gosh, a lot of us expect the bad, don't we? Oh, well, waiting for that other shoe to drop. That just gives me cold chills every time I hear someone say that. It's like, please don't expect that because it could happen, right? We want to expect the good. We want to look for the good. Where is it? Where's my good? And then praise it when we see it. Praise it when we see it. We've been talking about this all year. We're winding down 2022, and our year has been Amazing Grace. And we've talked about this grace of God that is constantly given and available to us. It's not something that we have to earn. It's not something that's withheld by a reluctant God. I think I'll give it to this one and this one and this one, but not that one. It's not that way. It's just a constant givingness. It's the divine gift that is always given. It's like it's raining down on us always. And yet many people walk around with an umbrella protecting themselves. Protecting themselves. What are they protecting themselves from? What are we protecting ourselves from? Our belief that we can't trust? I'm not sure about that. Our lack of faith? Our belief in this world of effects? Prior experiences? Ernest Holmes has that wonderful saying, principle is not bound by precedent. I remember when I first heard that and began to wrap my mind around that idea. It's like, wow, that's really powerful. Principle is not bound by precedent. Precedent we hear in the legal community. The higher courts set a precedent by changing blah, blah. So now all the lower courts rule based on that. Principle says, principle is infinite. We live in infinite possibilities. Spirit is infinite in creativity. And so principle is not bound by that. We choose to be bound by precedents in our lives sometimes. Oh, well, no, I can't do that. Didn't work out last time. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that again. Because we let that fear get in the way rather than trusting principle. Well, we didn't always believe that way, did we? Remember when you were born? Nah, none of us really remember that, do we? But when we were born, we came in believing. We came in faith. Kind of had to, didn't we? We were forced to. Do you remember the teaching of Jesus? He taught a lot about kids. He would say, bring the children, let the children in. And during that period of history, that was unusual. Children were not respected. Children were considered property and frequently sold. If there was a big family and a child was born and they couldn't afford it, they would sell the child for money. It was property. Children were heard and not seen. And for Jesus, this master teacher, to be saying, let them through, was highly unusual because he was a pretty unusual guy. And there was a teaching that he had with his disciples where he said, believe me, unless you change your thinking and become as little children, you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, he wasn't talking about some place we go after we die because that wasn't his teaching, was it? His teaching was heaven is within, just like God is within. Heaven is within. So what he was telling us is that we have to let go of all of this judgment and all of the protection mechanisms and things that we have set up within ourselves about the world, right? About the world, that we've adopted these as adults and return to that innocence and to that joy and trust that we were born with. And we're trusting the universe. Einstein said we live in a friendly universe, right? We live in this friendly universe. It is for us. Spirit loves us so much that Spirit created us and everything that we live in, all of it. What a gift. Just this gift of life itself and this experience on this planet. What a gift. What a gift. As infants, as I said, we were the most dependent in our lives. We were unable to really do anything. All we had to do was, I'm hungry, I'm going to scream. I'm a little uncomfortable, I'm going to scream. Somebody brings me fresh, clean, dry things to put on, right? I'm cranky, don't bother me, I want a nap, right? It's all we had to do. We were taken care of, most of us. But then at some point, pretty early in life, we begin to make our own decisions. We begin to grow up a little bit, and we begin to take things and file them away and make decisions. Now imagine asking a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6-year-old to make all of these life decisions and then living the rest of your life based on those decisions. Many of us have done that because those decisions that we made, we buried them deep in our subconscious. And then we have allowed them to guide us in our life. Or in many cases, we spend the next 80 or 90 years trying to undo all of that, right? Yeah. Yeah. We stop being little children and we begin to become some version of an adult. And we've continued to grow and expand that version. Anybody else tired of adulting? Yeah, right? Become as little children? Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. You may be thinking, yes, I want total faith. I want total trust. I want to be like a child again. But, Reverend Jill now, come on. But, really. And that but is usually filled with previous examples of hurt, pain, betrayal. We've all had a little bit of that here and there in our lives, maybe. And we take that in. And we take that as precedent, don't we? That's the precedent. Ooh, I'm bound by that. Rather than recognizing I don't have to be. And that's where our healing work begins, isn't it? That's where our healing work begins. We forgive ourselves. We forgive others. But when we do that, we are releasing ourselves from that prison and that bondage that we've created by that precedent. It's interesting that Holmes used that word, and we see it in the legal system, and then to recognize that we're bound by those precedents in our own life. We're not free because of them. We're allowing them to limit ourselves in the expansion, in really going for or achieving what it is we're looking for, what the desires of our heart. Yeah, I'd really like a relationship, but God, I'm afraid of getting hurt again. Gee, I'd really like to change jobs, but I'm really afraid of losing my paycheck. Gee, I'd really like a new house, but the market's a little, right? Forgiveness doesn't mean that we condone what happened. We know that, right? But there's still a resistance to it. It's like, oh, sometimes it feels good to keep them on the hook. Just keep them on the hook a little longer. It's not accepting the action. It's not saying it was right. It's not even saying we have to go back and build a relationship with this person. In most cases, we don't want to. But the forgiveness work is really about truly freeing ourselves to where we don't have our energy, we don't have the energetic connection to that experience any longer. We forgive it, we let it go. And there's this freedom that occurs. It's a physical freedom that you can feel in your bodies when it happens. We return to believing and accepting the divine grace that we live in. And that's been, as I said, the whole point of our year is accepting this divine grace that we live in all the time. It's always here for us. Trusting that, building our faith back in that, and stepping out. Stepping out. So I invite you to become as little children once again and to surrender to that which is greater than we are. As Ernest said, there's a power greater than we are in the universe, and we can use it. Surrender to that power. Accept the divine gift of God's grace and trust that we are safe to live in hopeful expectation of the good that we desire. So let's move into our practicing the principles this morning and see how we might be able to live in hopeful expectation this week. Remember, practicing the principles is the way that we take this teaching home with us and we can apply it to our lives so that it is a more living teaching for us. And on Monday mornings, I send out the Mindful Monday email that is the talk and the details of our practicing the principles that you can then refer back to and use throughout the week as practices to help you to embody the teaching. You can sign up for that in the lobby, QR code, or online, or send me an email. We'll get you on the list. All right, number one is let go. Let go. Now, you've probably all heard the story. I think Zig Ziglar told it. I've heard others tell it as well, about the frog in the pot. If you put a frog in a pot of cold water, he sits there. And you gently turn up the heat, and he'll sit there, and he'll sit there, and he'll sit there until the pot boils, and the frog eventually gets cooked. And the same is true for us in stressful situations in our lives. We think we can handle it. We think we can handle it. We think we can handle it. And the next thing you know, we're cooked. We're overstressed. And I've heard many of you this morning talking about the stress of the holidays and the busyness of the holidays and all the things to do. I get it. I feel it. So this week I'm going to invite you to step out of the noise and step out of the boiling water. Whether it's traffic or crowds or preparations or just the general year-end craziness, because there's things that have to happen at year-end, right? There's deadlines. So what I'm going to invite you to do this week, how many meditate? Most of you meditate in the mornings, yes? That's great. That's a wonderful, healthy way to start your day. This is on top of that. Oh no, not more homework. Yes, on top of that, take 5 minutes every hour. That's 300 seconds. 300 seconds. And just be still. Step away from whatever you're doing. Close your eyes if you can. Just be. Don't plan. Don't talk. Don't make a phone call. Don't do anything. Just be. And let your body relax, decompress, come back to center for 300 seconds. You may have to go to the restroom and lock yourself in to get privacy for that 5 minutes. Many of us have a smartwatch or app on our phone that tells if we haven't moved in a while, it's time to move, and it'll buzz. This is a similar thing, but it's not time to move. It's time to be still. It's time to be still. So do that and notice how your day and your week progresses and how you feel in the evening after having done that all day long. 5 minutes for you. You're worth it. You're totally worth it. Number 2 is recall a time. Now, I know that not everyone has happy childhood memories from this time of year, from the holidays. Yes? I know I have some that are not so pleasant. But within some of those, there are some that are pleasant. And I have created so many since leaving home. Whether in church community, whether in family of choice, with friends, or with my family. I've created some memories. And so this idea of recall a time is to, again, reflect on the joyful times of the holidays that you've had over the course of your lifetime. focusing on what we prefer, right? So not going back to those painful childhood memories, letting those be what they were for whatever reason that they were, and allowing yourself to just bask in the joy of the holidays that you've created on your own, that you're experiencing today, but to focus on that and to allow that to be your experience of the holidays and let go of those painful memories that some of us drag through the holidays and don't enjoy what's happening. We talked last week about the magic of the holidays and the lights and the presents and all of the things that happen. And we can lose that. We can lose that beautiful, beautiful joy of this season, the joy of connection. So just recalling that time and reflect on those good memories and using your journal and bring those into mind and experience that joy of the holidays once again. Because remember, our minds, they tell us, can't tell the difference between our imagination and reality. So if we're imagining these beautiful memories, our body thinks that that's the experience. And so our bodies are releasing all those good chemicals, right? And we're feeling better. So practice that this week. Use your journal to record your thoughts and create happy new memories this holiday season, so you can be in hopeful expectation. I have a closing quote for us today from The Miracle on 34th Street. Remember that movie? Kris Kringle says, "Christmas isn't just a day, it's a frame of mind." So this week, let's all become as little children filled with hopeful expectation. So it is. And now it's your turn. What are your thoughts around expectation, the holidays, stress, joy? Lori.
Question.
Yes.
Can you suggest some ways that we can balance the excited little child, the excitement, the desire to do and be and have all the fun that the season offers, with the kind of self-care that will keep us really energized and vibrant?
Lovely. Well, I believe you know something about yoga. I think that might be helpful. Let's see. Our meditation practice is critical, keeping ourselves centered in that space. And if you're finding the holiday stress is too much, more meditation. It's counterintuitive, but it works. Yes. I can see the thought.
Thank you. Those are great suggestions. I wasn't looking for more practices. I was looking for, how do we help that little child part
To
who's
come out and
so
play.
excited to not be in charge of all the play, so that we can do all those wonderful self-care practices?
Tell me why that's a downside.
Because the level of excitement and desire to do and go and be is not necessarily sustainable to the adult.
And so it is. Huh? Yeah. I understand what you're saying, and how much of that is belief that that's what would happen, and how much of that is reality. I can go and do and be and have the experience of my child during this childlike time. And I know that I am perfectly whole, perfectly complete and balanced, and get more than enough rest for all that I need. I've got all that I need to achieve all that I desire. I would switch it. I would flip the switch in my mind about that. Okay. Oh, Diane.
Oh, I was just saying this. I was just thinking that the same thought was as you believe.
Yeah.
That sustainability and that the 5 minute practice, taking five minutes and doing that. And I shared this a few weeks ago. A friend of mine who was a psychiatrist had shared without giving individual information about somebody whose life was a total disaster. And the only assignment this person had was good things are coming my way, was the affirmation this person was supposed to use. And I find that with my gratitude in the morning and gratitude at night, the very last thing I say out loud is, thank you for all the good things that are always coming my way. And I say it in the morning and the evening, and bam, I'm in expectation of those really good things all the time. So thank you for that reminder. And that's the sustainability part, is just as you believe. I know that taking that time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Danita.
So I was kind of interested in the part that you were talking about principle and precedent, of
Mm-hmm.
course. And I started thinking about just like the letting go part of just some of the blocks. I feel like in my childhood, I've had great Christmases, and then there are like Christmases that were a little bit more painful. And the mind likes to remember what is bad more than what's good. And so I feel like every Christmas I go into like overdrive trying to make it good, 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 good. And by the time Christmas Day comes, I'm just so exhausted. And I want to break free from that precedent that, Christmas has to be like wow,
Mm-hmm.
and following the conditioning of our society to make it like wow. So I don't know if there's like any practical tools you can talk about, that the letting go.
I would say your practice is to decide what is your ideal Christmas. All of it, from all of the past traditions and the current, everything that's going on, you and your heart, your family, not what society says, but what you think, and that boiling it down to just what's on your heart. What does your Christmas look like? What does that experience look like? And then focusing on that, making it so. Nice step.
So mine is more on the hopeful expectation part.
Mhm.
I really went into this year with that. And not to go too far into it, but like the beginning of the year was tricky for me, right? Finalized a divorce and then got into an accident. And even after that, I was able to pull myself out and go back to hopeful expectation. But over the past 6 or 7 weeks, with everything that's been going on, because I kept it and I would say things like that good is coming my way, affirmations, um, it's pretty much shattered. Like my meditation practice is pretty much gone. Um, Journaling like doesn't feel right. Like none of that stuff feels right anymore. So it just seems shattered. So I guess like the letting go or the recall a time, stuff like that. I don't know how I know it's a shift, right? Like everything that happened
Mm-hmm.
happened for a reason, but it's really weird when you have hopeful expectation and then something of that caliber takes place. And so for me right now, I just guess I question myself of like, will I and how do I ever get back to
Yeah.
that hopeful expectation?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it would just completely crumbled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, the period that you're moving through right now, I think you've shared with everyone that your mom passed. So you've got some grief to process. And when we're moving through grief, it's a very powerful emotion. And sometimes the things that have been familiar to us and supporting us no longer support us any longer. I mean, they don't have the same appeal. And so during this time, be gentle with you and be loving and kind to you, and allow yourself to move through this process and to come out on the other side. You've got these practices, these principles. I know your background, so I know that you've got all of this in your toolbox. But be gentle with yourself, particularly in the holidays and the memories that come up and all the things that happen now. And just allow yourself to walk through this time with grace, with ease, trusting Spend time in the silence when you can. And then as you move through the time, you'll begin to, believe you'll begin to find those things comforting to you once again. But get the support that you need. And, we'll be here for you to help you walk through this and whatever we can do for you. Okay. All of us. I speak for everybody because I know they all love you too. So we got you. Who else? That's it?
Not end on that note.
Yes.
I will say that it was pointed out to me, which I have held on to, that not everything this year has been that way, right? That the hopeful expectation, there were some really good aspects of this year. So that was, but you
PhD.
don't see that, I guess, right now. Like, I don't see that. It's hard. So it had to be pointed out to me
Okay.
because it wasn't.
We'll remind you, Reverend Stephanie, PhD.
It's better note to end on if she'll.
Reverend Dr. Stephanie just had a small achievement this year. Yes, we will remind you of your good and your brilliance and your bright. Yeah. 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 Anyone else? We're complete. All right. All right. Thank you all for your sharing. You brighten my heart with your sharing and your wisdom and your knowledge. You're just an amazing group. I love you and I love hearing from you. So thank you for sharing your hearts with me. Let's go into prayer. Would you join me for an affirmative prayer this morning? As we go within, we recognize that that is the place of spirit. We breathe in and recognize a place of peace, the place of harmony, the place of the living Christ within each of us. And so recognizing that God is all that there is, the infinite power and presence, the one life, the harmony of the universe, the brilliance of light, the creator of all that is. We recognize that all of that is here now present in each one of us as an individualized and unique expression of it. We are one, united in the wholeness that is divine. We're individualized expressions, and yet we are unified in that wholeness, in that oneness, in that power. And so this day, I speak a word of blessing, realization, acceptance for each one of us, knowing that we are whole, perfect, and complete. No matter the expression that we may be experiencing right now, we know in our inherent beingness that we are whole, that we are spiritual beings, we are light, and we illuminate this time of year, this time of extra darkness of our days. We are the light at this time. Each one of us, lights in the world. And I know that as we move through this season and into the next with hopeful expectation, that those expectations are met, that we are receiving blessings, bountiful blessings, down to overflowing, that the very heavens have opened for the good of God, the grace of God in which we live, move, and have our being each and every moment of each and every day. And we simply move into that place of trust, of faith, of believing. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart this day that they would like prayer for, that as they lift that into their heart and their mind, into this prayer and the consciousness that we are holding here as a community, that whatever needs to be healed is healed, revealed is revealed with clarity, that there is abundance and flow, that there is joy and peace and love. Whatever the need, we know that it is answered in a powerful and dynamic way. And so it is with a grateful heart filled with thanksgiving, joy, and gratitude that I release this prayer into the action and activity of the law, knowing that it is done. For we know that the word spoken is the word made manifest, and we affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Please welcome Mr. Eddie Watkins with When You Believe.
Anything is possible when you believe. Anything is possible when you believe. Faith can make a mountain move when you believe. Faith can make a mountain move when you believe. Don't you know that you can change a life when you believe? Don't you know that you can change a life when you believe in yourself? In yourself. In yourself. In yourself. Gonna make a miracle when you believe. You know you're gonna make a miracle when you believe. Everything you want, you got. When you believe, you want it, you get. You know everything you want, you got. When you believe, you want it, you got it. In yourself. In yourself. In yourself.
New Thought Rap. Who knew we had New Thought Rap? All right. It is time for grateful giving, circulating our good through the community. And it was Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith who said, what we do with all our resources, our talents, our skills, our money is made sacred or profane by the consciousness in which we use it. If we dedicate our life and resources and talents to God, they are made sacred and become a love offering to life itself. We all give from many resources, and I appreciate everything that you all give, time, talent, and treasure to our community. It all makes it successful, and we appreciate it all. If you there are lots of ways to give. You can go online and use our website. You can join the auto tithe program and get tithe tickets like this in the bookstore to put in the basket, because your donation comes out automatically on a frequency that you pick. We have our Money Finders program I mentioned earlier. This is our prosperity awareness program. It's where we focus on the serendipitous good that comes to us during the week. We tithe 10% here. We keep 90% for ourselves. And it proves that principle: what we focus on expands in our life. If you are making a cash donation today, I invite you to use one of these envelopes from the lobby and make sure I have your name and your email address so that we can give you credit for your donation of cash. And I send those out, the giving statements, at the end of the year, because we are a 501c nonprofit. And you can also use our giving portal with your QR code. Just point your camera at that. Folks at home, that works for you as well. And you can join us in circulating your good today. All right, our affirmation. Please join me. I am an open channel through which prosperity flows. I accept the divine flow of goodness, ideas, and substance through me now. I am grateful for my full and prosperous life. And so it is.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful.
Please join me in blessing that which has been circulated here today through this community, from the love, the hugs, the joy, the connection, to all of our beautiful volunteers and all that they do for us, and to each and every one gathered here in person and online. We are so grateful for all of it, for the bountiful abundance of this center. And I know that those who have chosen to give financially this day, that the gifts are blessed, pressed down to overflowing, as they have stepped confidently into the law of circulation in their lives, knowing that they cannot outgive their source and the way the circulation law works. And I know that Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living is a grateful receiver for all that it has received this day, and that these financial gifts will be used in the furthering of our mission in the world, and just blessing this center and the people of Scottsdale and beyond. We are so blessed, and so it is.